Welcome, brave souls, to a journey into the unknown. Tonight, we venture deep into the shadows of Tennessee, a land rich with history, mystery, and spirits that refuse to rest. Beyond its rolling hills, charming towns, and country melodies lies a darker side, one filled with eerie whispers, ghostly apparitions, and places where time itself seems to stand still. Tennessee has long been a hotbed of supernatural activity, with legends that stretch back centuries. From Civil War battlefields still haunted by fallen soldiers to abandoned asylums where the echoes of the past refuse to fade, the Volunteer State is home to some of the most terrifying locations in the country. Some say these places hold energy so strong that even the most skeptical visitors have left believers. Others claim that certain doors should never be opened, for what lies beyond is not meant for the living. So, if you dare, join us as we take a spine-chilling tour through the most haunted places in Tennessee. Keep your lights on, and don't stray too far into the darkness, because in this state, the past is never truly buried. Are you ready? Let's begin. The Bell Witch Cave, the enigma of Adams, Tennessee. The night air hung thick over Adams, Tennessee, a quiet town nestled in rolling farmland. The sky was a deep, endless black, speckled with stars that seemed to flicker with an unnatural urgency. A cold wind rattled the trees, whispering secrets of an old legend that had never truly died. For over 2 centuries, the story of the bell witch had haunted this land, passing from generation to generation like an old, cursed heirloom. It was said that the spirit of a vengeful woman named Kate Batts had tormented the Bell family in the early 1800s, her wrath culminating in the mysterious death of John Bell. The entity whispered in the darkness, scratched at the walls, and sent the family into fits of terror. Some claimed she never left. Some said she had retreated to the shadows of the Bell Witch Cave, waiting for new victims. And tonight, for friends would learn that legends do not fade so easily. The descent. Ryan adjusted the strap of his backpack, shining his flashlight on the mouth of the cave. The entrance gaped before them like the yawning maw of a great beast. He turned to Emily, his girlfriend, who was rubbing her arms against the chill. "You sure you want to do this?" he asked, smirking. Emily frowned. "I don't know. People say weird things happen in there." "Exactly," Matt chimed in. "And we're going to prove them wrong." Jess, the most reluctant of the group, hesitated at the edge of the path. "Or we're going to die and become part of the legend." Ryan laughed, but it was forced. "Come on, we'll be fine." With that, he led the way inside. The moment they stepped past the entrance, the temperature dropped. The air grew thick, damp, and suffocating, as though something unseen pressed against their lungs. The walls were slick with moisture, the floor uneven beneath their feet. Stalactites dripped from the ceiling like jagged teeth. Emily clutched Ryan's arm. "It's too quiet." It was. The sound of their footsteps barely echoed, swallowed by the cave itself. The deeper they went, the more the darkness seemed to stretch, shifting unnaturally at the edges of their flashlights. Then, a whisper, soft, hissing, coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. The group froze. "What the hell was that?" Matt whispered. Ryan tightened his grip on the flashlight. "Probably Jess." A sharp knock echoed through the cavern. Then another. And another. A rhythmic, deliberate tapping that sent a chill down their spines. Jess grabbed Matt's hand. "That's it. We need to leave." But as they turned, a gust of ice-cold air rushed past them, extinguishing their lights. Panic erupted in the darkness. A presence in the dark. Ryan fumbled with his flashlight, shaking it violently until the beam flickered back to life. Emily was gripping his jacket, her breath coming in short gasps. Matt's light snapped on a moment later, illuminating the cavern. Jess was gone. "Jess?" Matt called out, his voice cracking. The cave swallowed his voice. Then came the laughter. Low, mocking, and unmistakably female. Emily whimpered. "Oh my God!" Ryan swung his light wildly. "Jess!" And then they saw her. She stood at the far end of the tunnel, her back turned to them, body rigid. The air around her seemed to waver, like heat rising from pavement. Matt ran toward her, but Ryan grabbed his arm. "Wait!" Something was wrong. The shadows at Jess's feet were twisting unnaturally, moving even though she was perfectly still. The air around her was thick, pulsing. And then, without warning, she turned. Her eyes were vacant, her lips moving, but the sound that came out was not hers. It was a whisper. Ancient. Unintelligible. And then she screamed. The witch's mark. The scream was raw and piercing, a sound that did not belong in this world. Jess collapsed, her body convulsing as though something unseen had its grip on her. Matt dropped to his knees, shaking her. Jess! Wake up! Ryan and Emily hovered in terrified silence, watching as Jess's convulsions slowed, then stopped. Her breathing was ragged. Slowly, her eyes fluttered open, unfocused. Jess? Emily whispered. Jess blinked, her face blank. Then, her voice, distant and hollow. She doesn't want us here. A fresh wave of terror crashed over them. Ryan yanked Matt to his feet. We're leaving. Now. This time, no one argued. They half-carried Jess as they ran, the cave seeming to stretch longer and darker than before. The laughter followed, growing louder, closer. The air thickened, pressing against their chests, their throats. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, it stopped. They burst from the cave, gasping, collapsing onto the damp earth. The night air was a relief, cool and fresh against their skin. Jess stirred. What happened? They didn't answer. Instead, their eyes fell on her wrist. A deep, jagged scratch ran from her palm to her forearm, as if something with sharp nails had clawed her. It was fresh. Too fresh. Ryan swallowed hard. We're never going back there. No one disagreed. Some legends never die. They left Adams, Tennessee, that night and never spoke of what happened in the cave. But legends have a way of clinging to those who dare to challenge them. Months later, Jess began waking up with new scratches on her arms, though she swore she had done nothing to cause them. Matt started hearing whispers in his apartment when he was alone. Emily had nightmares, of the cave, of the laughter, of the shadow standing just beyond the light. And Ryan, one night, his phone buzzed with an unknown number. A voicemail. He hesitated before pressing play. A whisper, soft and taunting, slithered through the speaker. I never left. The Bell Witch's curse was not bound to the cave. It followed those who disturbed it. And some things, once awakened, never sleep again. The old South Pittsburgh Hospital, haunted healing grounds tucked away in the quiet town of South Pittsburgh, Tennessee. The old South Pittsburgh Hospital stands as a decaying relic of its past. Once a place of healing and hope, the hospital has now become a symbol of terror, its abandoned halls echoing with the whispers of the past. What was once a beacon of medical care has transformed into one of the most haunted locations in the state, drawing in ghost hunters, thrill seekers, and skeptics alike. The hospital opened its doors in the 1950s, designed to serve the growing population of the region. It quickly became a bustling medical center, witnessing countless births, recoveries, and unfortunately deaths. Like any hospital, it saw its fair share of tragedy, from patients who succumbed to illness to those who met their end on the operating table. However, when the hospital shut down in 1998 due to financial struggles, an eerie silence took over the building. It didn't take long for that silence to be broken. Not long after the hospital was abandoned, strange occurrences began to surface. The first to notice were the locals. Some claimed to see shadowy figures moving behind the cracked windows. Others reported hearing the faint sounds of hospital equipment still beeping deep within the facility. Soon, ghost hunters and paranormal investigators were drawn to the location, hoping to capture evidence of the otherworldly entities rumored to reside there. One of the most well-known spirits of the old South Pittsburgh Hospital is that of a former nurse. Witnesses described seeing a woman in a pristine white uniform wandering the halls, her footsteps echoing even though no physical form can be seen. Some believe she was a dedicated nurse who never left her post, even in death. Others say she was a nurse responsible for tragic medical mistakes, forced to roam the hospital in atonement for her sins. Her presence is often accompanied by the chilling feeling of being watched, and some visitors have even claimed to feel a cold hand brush against their skin as they pass through the corridors. Another entity that haunts the hospital is that of a child. Reports of ghostly giggles and the pitter-patter of small feet have been recorded in the pediatric ward. One chilling story tells of an investigator who left a toy in the middle of the room, only to watch in shock as it slowly moved across the floor on its own. Some believe the spirit of a young boy, who passed away in the hospital long ago, still lingers, searching for comfort in the afterlife. The basement of the hospital is perhaps the most terrifying area of all. Many who venture down the dark stairwell report an overwhelming sense of dread, as if an unseen force is pushing them back. Some claim to have been scratched or shoved, while others hear deep, guttural growls coming from the shadows. Theories suggest that the basement, once used for storage and possibly a morgue, holds a sinister energy that refuses to be ignored. Electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, captured in the hospital have revealed disturbing whispers and urgent cries for help. Investigators have recorded voices saying phrases like, "Get out, help me," and even calling people by name. Thermal cameras have picked up inexplicable heat signatures, and motion detectors have been triggered by unseen forces. Despite efforts to debunk the activity, the evidence continues to pile up, making it impossible to dismiss the hospital's haunted reputation. Many visitors have reported feeling a heavy, oppressive atmosphere upon entering the building. Some have left with mysterious bruises or scratches, while others have felt an unseen presence breathing down their necks. It's as if the spirits of the hospital are desperately trying to make their presence known, unwilling to be forgotten. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the old South Pittsburgh Hospital continues to draw those who dare to experience its ghostly horrors firsthand. Paranormal investigations, guided ghost tours, and overnight stays allow thrill-seekers the chance to witness the supernatural activity for themselves. Whether it's the restless spirit of the nurse, the playful ghost of the child, or the ominous force lurking in the basement, one thing is certain: the hospital is far from empty. For those brave enough to step inside, the old South Pittsburgh Hospital offers more than just a glimpse into the past. It offers an experience that will leave you questioning the boundary between life and death. Some leave with stories they'll never forget, others leave with a chilling warning: some doors should never be opened, and some spirits should never be disturbed. The Ryman Auditorium, a stage for spirits nestled in the heart of Nashville, Tennessee, the Ryman Auditorium stands as a beacon of musical history. Known as the Mother Church of Country Music, it has hosted some of the most iconic names in music: Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, Dolly Parton, and countless others. Its reputation as a place of musical magic is unparalleled. But beneath the bright lights and the roaring applause, the Ryman has a more mysterious side. The spirits of this legendary venue are said to be just as famous as its musical legacy. The birth of the Ryman Auditorium. The Ryman Auditorium's history dates back to 1892, when it was initially built as the Union Gospel Tabernacle. Designed by architect Hugh M. Taylor, the building was intended to serve as a place of worship for the Union Missionary Baptist congregation. However, its future took a different turn when it began hosting performances, including those of the famous evangelist Reverend Sam Jones. His fiery sermons, delivered with passionate intensity, drew large crowds, and soon, the building became a hub for public gatherings of all kinds. In 1901, the venue became home to the Grand Ole Opry, a weekly radio show that would go on to make country music a national phenomenon. Over the years, the Ryman evolved from a place of religious worship into a cultural icon, and its wooden pews and ornate details became a symbol of Nashville's commitment to music and performance. But beyond its musical accolades, the Ryman has a reputation for something else: its eerie connection to the supernatural. It is said that the spirits of the Ryman's past have never truly left the building, adding a layer of mystique to its storied history. The haunting of the Ryman Auditorium. The most well-known ghost associated with the Ryman Auditorium is that of a former manager, Thomas Ryman himself. Although Ryman died in 1904, his spirit is said to have lingered at the very place he helped bring to life. Ryman was known for his commitment to the church and the building's construction, and some believe that his deep connection to the venue is the reason his presence remains there. Witnesses have reported strange occurrences in the auditorium, many of which can be traced back to Ryman's spirit. The most common phenomenon is the sound of footsteps echoing through the otherwise empty hallways. Staff members, including security personnel, have heard the sound of someone walking behind them when they're alone in the building. Yet when they turn around, no one is there. Perhaps even more unsettling is the sound of a man coughing or muttering in the distance. Some staff members have described hearing the soft sounds of someone clearing their throat or softly speaking, only to find no one present. Those who've worked late into the night have reported the sensation of being watched by an unseen observer. The chilling presence of this spectral figure adds an eerie layer to the otherwise welcoming atmosphere of the Ryman. Perhaps the most vivid and unsettling encounter with the ghost of Thomas Ryman involves sightings of a shadowy figure in the building. Several witnesses claim to have seen a man in a bowler hat wandering the halls of the auditorium, often in the shadows. The man is said to be dressed in turn-of-the-century attire, and while he doesn't speak, his presence is enough to send shivers down the spine of those who cross his path. The figure is believed to be Ryman himself, his ghostly form still keeping watch over the place that bears his name. The phantom voice. The most haunting reports from the Ryman Auditorium, however, don't involve just sightings or strange sounds. Perhaps the most unnerving phenomenon is the appearance of a phantom voice, seemingly coming from the stage itself. During quiet rehearsals, when the building is nearly empty, performers and crew members have reported hearing an invisible presence performing on stage. It's as though someone is practicing or even performing an impromptu set, yet no one is visible. One musician, who was alone on the stage during a sound check, swears she heard the distinct strum of an acoustic guitar accompanied by a voice singing an old gospel hymn. At first, she thought she was hearing things, but the voice and guitar sounded so real that she went on to search the venue, convinced someone had snuck in. But when she went backstage and checked the audience seats, no one was there. This phantom voice is said to carry a haunting familiarity, as if it echoes from a bygone era. Some say the voice belongs to a long-past performer who once graced the stage, while others believe it is a reflection of the countless souls who have sung and played within the walls of the auditorium over the years. Regardless of its origin, the voice only adds to the Ryman's mystical atmosphere. Unexplained presence. In addition to the sounds and apparitions, many visitors and staff members have reported an overwhelming sense of an unexplainable presence in the auditorium. Some claim they feel as though they're being watched, even in the most unlikely of places. Musicians who have stayed after a concert to practice have said they've been unable to shake the sensation of being accompanied by an invisible observer. A sense of quiet tension builds in the air, and though no one is physically present, it's as though someone, or something, is listening. In particular, the balcony area has gained a reputation for being an especially active hotspot for paranormal activity. On more than one occasion, a person standing in the balcony or sitting in the upper levels of the venue has reported feeling an icy chill descend upon them. Some say it's the lingering spirit of a performer who once performed in that very space, while others believe it's simply the Ryman's collective energy drawing attention to itself. One staff member described walking across the stage and suddenly feeling as though she was not alone. "I felt like there was someone standing next to me, just out of the corner of my eye," she recalls. "When I turned around, no one was there, but I could feel it, the presence was so strong." This kind of unsettling experience has become a common thread for those who work at the Ryman. The legacy of the spirits. The ghostly tales surrounding the Ryman Auditorium may be unsettling, but they are also part of the venue's enduring legacy. The spirits that haunt the building are not mere lingering echoes of the past. They are a testament to the significance of the Ryman in the cultural and musical history of Nashville. These spectral visitors are thought to be drawn to the energy of the stage, the thousands of performances that have taken place within these walls, and the powerful connection between the music and the souls of those who lived through it. Some argue that the ghosts are simply a part of the Ryman's character, a unique aspect of the building's charm that draws people to it, even beyond its musical reputation. There's something comforting in the thought that the spirits of the past continue to grace the very stage where so many icons once performed. For many, the ghosts of the Ryman Auditorium serve as a reminder that music and history are not fleeting. They transcend time and remain alive long after the last note fades. The Ryman, with all its spectral visitors, is a place where the past never truly leaves. It lives on in the echoes of the music, the whispers of the spirits, and the memories of all who have walked its hallowed halls. The Tennessee State Prison. The dark history behind bars. The Tennessee State Prison, located in Nashville, is a place steeped in dark history and chilling lore. For over a century, it housed some of the most dangerous criminals, becoming infamous for its brutal conditions, executions, and countless tales of suffering. Though it was shut down in 1992, the prison's haunting legacy lives on, making it one of the most terrifyingly iconic haunted locations in the state. For those seeking a truly unnerving experience, a visit to the Tennessee State Prison offers a glimpse into the dark past of one of America's most notorious correctional facilities. The birth of the Tennessee State Prison opened in 1830. The Tennessee State Prison was originally designed to house male inmates in a penitentiary system that was still relatively new in the United States. The facility was built in an imposing Gothic style, with high stone walls, barred windows, and a layout that resembled a fortress. It was intended to reflect both the importance of discipline and the grim reality of incarceration. At the time of its construction, the penitentiary was considered state-of-the-art, but over time, the prison's conditions became nothing short of horrific. By the mid-1800s, the prison had become a symbol of the brutal and often inhumane treatment of its inmates. Overcrowding, poor sanitation, and a lack of adequate food and medical care led to the spread of disease and death among the prisoners. The prison became notorious for the suffering of its residents, with accounts of frequent beatings, solitary confinement, and forced labor. The infamous hole, a small, dark, damp cell used for punishment, became a focal point for stories of inhumane treatment. It was not uncommon for inmates to be subjected to days or even weeks of isolation, leading to mental breakdowns and, in some cases, death. The most notorious part of the prison's history, however, would come during the 20th century. The prison became the site of numerous executions, most famously by electrocution. The last execution at the Tennessee State Prison occurred in 1960, when the electric chair claimed the life of a condemned man. This event, along with the brutal riots and untold tragedies that unfolded within the prison's walls, would solidify its place in history as one of the most haunted sites in Tennessee. The dark history behind bars. The Tennessee State Prison's reputation for cruelty and suffering quickly grew, and it became known for housing some of the most dangerous and notorious criminals in the state. These inmates were often subjected to appalling conditions that would push any person to the brink of madness. The prison's overcrowded cells, lack of proper ventilation, and harsh punishments created an environment that was as oppressive as it was dangerous. One of the most infamous incidents in the prison's history occurred during the 1980s, when a massive riot broke out. Inmates, fed up with the conditions and treatment they were enduring, staged a violent rebellion. The chaos that ensued led to several deaths, both among the prison staff and the inmates. The event would go down in history as a testament to the pent-up anger and frustration of the prisoners who lived and died within the walls of the Tennessee State Prison. This dark history has left its mark on the prison. Many believe that the spirits of the deceased still linger in the abandoned halls, restless and angry from the torment they experienced during their time behind bars. The prison's most notorious hauntings are said to be linked to the spirits of those who died within its walls, victims of executions, torture, and the violence that permeated the facility. The haunting of the Tennessee State Prison. Over the years, numerous reports have surfaced from visitors, paranormal investigators, and former prison staff, all claiming to have encountered unexplainable phenomena within the Tennessee State Prison. The most chilling reports often come from those who have ventured into the prison's old execution chamber, the site of many of the prison's darkest moments. The last execution in the chamber occurred in 1960, and the atmosphere around this area is said to be thick with the lingering presence of death. One of the most disturbing claims involves the sounds of chains dragging along the floor. Several visitors have described hearing the unmistakable noise of heavy chains scraping across the ground in the prison's dark, empty corridors. The sound often seems to follow them as they walk through the abandoned hallways, but when they turn around, no one is there. This eerie noise is believed to be the restless spirits of the inmates who suffered and died within the prison's walls. In addition to the dragging chains, many visitors have reported hearing footsteps echoing through the long, empty halls of the prison. Staff members who worked in the prison before its closure also claim to have experienced the sensation of someone walking behind them, only to find no one there when they turned around. These footsteps, along with the other eerie sounds, contribute to the unsettling atmosphere that surrounds the facility, Perhaps the most chilling experiences are the cries of anguish that have been reported by those who have visited the prison. Some claim to have heard the desperate wails of former inmates, screams of pain and terror echoing through the empty halls. These cries are often attributed to the souls of those who suffered in the prison's oppressive environment, particularly those who endured solitary confinement or were executed in the electric chair. Ghostly figures and unseen presences, along with the strange sounds and disturbing cries. There have been numerous reports of ghostly figures appearing within the prison. One of the most common sightings is of a shadowy figure standing near the old execution chamber, where the last execution took place in 1960. Visitors have described seeing a tall, dark figure dressed in prison garb, standing motionless in the doorway of the chamber. Some claim that the figure watches them silently, while others report feeling a sudden rush of cold air whenever they come near the area. In other parts of the prison, there have been reports of figures appearing in the shadows, only to vanish when someone approaches. These ghostly figures are often described as being indistinct, their features obscured by darkness. However, their presence is undeniable, as they are often accompanied by a sense of unease and the feeling of being watched. For those brave enough to visit the prison, these sightings serve as a constant reminder of the tragic history that took place within its walls. Perhaps one of the most compelling paranormal occurrences involves the prison's infamous haunting tours. Paranormal investigators and thrill-seekers have frequently visited the abandoned facility, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. Many of these investigations have resulted in the recording of eerie electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, disembodied voices that cannot be explained by natural means. These EVPs often include whispers, grunts, and even words or phrases that seem to come from the spirits of long-dead inmates. The abandoned prison today. Though the Tennessee State Prison has been abandoned for over 3 decades, it remains a place of fascination and fear for those interested in the supernatural. Despite its deteriorating condition, the prison still attracts visitors from all over, many of whom are drawn to its haunting reputation. Some come for the history, others for the thrills, but all leave with a sense of awe and trepidation. Today, the prison is a shell of its former self. The walls are crumbling, the windows are shattered, and the once imposing structure is slowly being reclaimed by nature. However, the darkness that once permeated the halls remains. Paranormal investigators continue to flock to the site, hoping to uncover more evidence of the ghosts and spirits that are said to inhabit the prison. The eerie noises, ghostly figures, and unexplainable events that take place within the Tennessee State Prison make it a prime location for those seeking a brush with the afterlife. The Peabody Hotel, spirits in the heart of Memphis. The Peabody Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee, is a dazzling blend of southern charm and opulence, a place where grand ballrooms meet the echoes of the past. Known for its famous duck parade and timeless elegance, the hotel attracts visitors from around the world. Yet, beyond the sparkling chandeliers and the luxurious rooms, there exists an unsettling history, one filled with stories of restless spirits and dark memories that refuse to stay buried. Built in 1925, the Peabody Hotel is a historic landmark in downtown Memphis. It has hosted a long line of distinguished guests, from political figures to celebrities, and has long been a symbol of grandeur. The hotel is most famous for its resident ducks, which parade through the lobby every day, a tradition that has captivated visitors for decades. However, as stunning as its lobby and services may be, there is another, far less visible aspect of the Peabody, a shadowy past intertwined with death, tragedy, and hauntings that continue to shape the hotel's legacy. The first whispers of the hotel's dark history began to circulate years ago, long before the stories of its hauntings gained widespread attention. One of the most chilling accounts involves a former guest of the hotel, a man whose tragic fate has become part of the hotel's haunted lore. It is said that this guest, who had checked in with high hopes of a fresh start, was dealing with personal troubles when his mental state began to deteriorate. In the grip of despair, he jumped to his death from one of the hotel's upper balconies, forever marking the Peabody with the shadow of his final moments. While his death remains shrouded in mystery, guests who have stayed in the hotel often report strange occurrences near the balcony where he fell. Some say they've seen the faint outline of a man's silhouette on the balcony railing, only to have it disappear when they blink. Others report hearing soft footsteps or a low moan echoing through the hallways late at night, as though someone is still wandering, searching for an escape that never came. Yet it isn't just the echoes of this tragic death that haunt the hotel. Guests and staff alike speak of a woman in a white dress who appears to drift through the hallways and lounge areas. Her apparition has been cited numerous times, particularly in the hotel's quieter corners, where the bustling activity of the lobby is far away. She is said to be the spirit of a former guest who ended her life in the same hotel, a woman whose broken heart and unbearable grief pushed her to make a fateful decision. The woman's ghost is often described as having a sorrowful expression, her face pale, and her figure wispy, as though she's a mere shadow of the person she once was. Visitors have said they've seen her standing by the mirrors in the grand lobby, her reflection flickering unnervingly in the glass, only for her image to vanish when they turn to look directly at her. On some occasions, guests have even claimed to hear soft sobbing in the dead of night, as though the woman is mourning the life she could have had. In addition to the apparitions, many have reported physical manifestations of the hotel's haunted past. One of the most common occurrences involves the flickering of lights, particularly in the older wings of the building. The lights will flicker on and off, almost as if something, or someone, is trying to communicate. At times, guests have noticed strange cold spots in certain areas of the hotel. These areas seem to suddenly become uncomfortably cold, no matter the season or the temperature outside. The air feels thick with an unexplained chill, leaving guests to wonder if they are being watched by unseen eyes. Perhaps the most disturbing reports come from the hotel's staff, who have spent years working in the building and claim to have witnessed much more than the average guest. Several employees have mentioned strange occurrences while cleaning rooms, like furniture moving by itself or items being displaced. One cleaning lady shared that she once entered a room to find the furniture rearranged in a pattern that seemed to have no logical explanation. Another worker claimed to have heard whispering voices in the empty corridors when no one else was around. On occasion, the sound of soft footsteps will echo from the dark hallways, only to stop abruptly, as though the person walking has simply vanished. In some cases, when hotel workers turn around to check if anyone is there, they find the hallway completely empty, save for the unsettling silence. Perhaps the most significant and widely known haunting is the presence in the hotel's elevator. A former elevator operator, who worked at the Peabody many years ago, is said to have died in a tragic accident while working late one night. Since then, visitors and staff have reported hearing the sound of the elevator doors opening and closing, even when no one is in the vicinity. Some claim to have seen the elevator descend without any operator, only to stop at certain floors, seemingly at random. It is believed that the elevator's frequent, eerie movements are the result of the spirit of the operator still attending to his post long after his death. There are also tales of guests who have stayed in room 414, which has earned a notorious reputation for being particularly haunted. Guests who've spent the night in this room have described strange occurrences, such as the sensation of someone sitting on the edge of the bed, or a faint voice calling their name. One couple reported that they were woken in the middle of the night by a cold hand gently brushing across their faces. When they turned on the lights, the room was empty, save for the oppressive, unsettling atmosphere that lingered long after the event. Despite the hotel's haunted history, the Peabody Hotel remains a beloved destination for many travelers. The elegant marble floors and gleaming chandeliers continue to attract guests from near and far, all of whom are unaware of the spirits that might be watching from the shadows. The ducks may waddle through the lobby to the cheers of children, and the grand ballroom may still echo with the sounds of music and laughter, but beneath it all is a history of heartache, tragedy, and souls that refuse to move on. As the years pass and the Peabody Hotel remains an icon of Memphis, the spirits of the past seem to linger, quietly weaving their way through the luxurious halls, leaving behind memories that refuse to fade. Whether it's the specter of a man who couldn't escape his despair, the mournful woman in white, or the ghostly elevator operator, the Peabody remains a place where the past never truly leaves. For some, it's a hotel filled with charm and elegance, a symbol of the city's rich history. But for others, it's a haunted sanctuary, where the spirits of the past continue to make their presence known. And as long as the Peabody Hotel stands, the whispers of its haunted history will continue to echo through the halls, ensuring that the ghosts of Memphis never truly leave. And there you have it, folks, a haunting tour of some of the most notorious haunted locations in Tennessee. From the chilling Bell Witch Cave to the eerie halls of the old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Tennessee is brimming with spirits who refuse to rest in peace. Whether you're a seasoned ghost hunter or just someone curious about the supernatural, these places offer a glimpse into a world beyond the living. If you enjoyed this spooky journey through Tennessee's haunted history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another terrifying tale. Until next time, keep your lights on and your senses sharp, because you never know when the spirits might decide to visit you. Stay safe, and stay spooky. Thanks for watching. If you want to hear more ghostly tales from across the country, check out our other videos, and let us know which haunted place you'd like us to cover next. Until then, sleep tight, if you can.